Be here.
Yeah, here too.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's the topic again?
It's what I said was we as human beings are God.
Oh, okay. I've never heard that before.
Right.
You just elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, well, what I mean by that is no matter what you believe or what you think about a higher power or God or anything like that, in order for such a thing to exist, we first have to exist. Um, Regardless of whether or not that higher power or God or whatever being we're talking about is there or not, if we're not there to observe it or to know about it, it isn't really there. So, in a way, regardless of what you believe, you and I and everyone else who has the ability to observe it or conceptualize it in our minds are the ones who create it. Therefore, we are our own creators. We are God, in a way.
Okay. Do you mean that as to we're like special?
Well, we're definitely special. There's definitely something different about us than any other animal that's ever existed, as far as we know.
Um, the one thing that really separates us are like sharks, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They've been on this earth for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they never needed to evolve into having super big brains or being intelligent
Right.
for the sole reason that they didn't need to. They don't need intelligence to survive. They don't need to be able to problem solve to find more food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
I
I
don't think
don't.
we really did either, though. We didn't need to. I mean, look at apes. Look at the great apes. They're smart, but they're not like we are. But they live. They survived a very long time in the same way that they are now. Just gathering and they hunt. They do eat some meat, but they didn't need to become as intelligent as we are to survive. I think something's definitely different about us, and I don't believe in a God the way everybody does. I'm not a religious person, so I'm not arguing it from that standpoint. I just think something is definitely very different about us. Something happened to our brains in development that changed the way we operate.
Okay. Now I don't necessarily think we're special. Um, Neil deGrasse Tyson has a good point on this, that us and all life are made up of the same building blocks that build everything in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think we're very special, just because we have an understanding of reality as we know it.
But it's more than an understanding, because the way our minds work, the way we conceptualize things in our brain, and then have the ability to turn the things that we conceptualize in our brain into realities. No other animal or living thing has ever had that ability in the history of known thing. We were the only one who can imagine something, think something, and then make it real. Nothing else has had that. And to add another layer to that, we also have the ability to know that we know how to do that. We know about our own brains.
Yes, we're self-aware.
So nothing else has that, really. And there has to be some reason to that. Now, it's nearly impossible to say what. I would theorize it probably had something to do with, in some stage in our evolution, I bet you, some sort of psychedelic compound was introduced into our diet at some point, and it sparked our brains.
Well, what about DMT? Are you familiar with DMT?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so that is pretty much in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's said to be like nature's way of communication.
Yes, but most things, everything produces it naturally, but most things don't produce enough of it to spark any real change in their minds.
Except before we die.
Right. Well, that's different, but that's too late.
Yeah.
We can take it, and then you go into a whole other. You could change the entire way you think if you take it, I'm sure. What I'm saying is, I think maybe somewhere along the way, when we were still closer to apes, that was somehow introduced into our food source. Maybe not DMT per se, but maybe mushrooms or something like that. And just the experience that they had made their brains grow. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with, there was some period of time where the human brain grew like, it doubled in size over the course of like 1,000 years, which is,
yeah.
It's never happened that fast in any other animal in known record. And there has to be a reason for that. It doesn't just happen by chance. That something caused that to happen.
Well, I mean, and mammals during that time period, especially primates that could walk and stuff like that, they were the ones who could thrive, unlike before the mass extinction, where the dinosaurs thrived, After that, the common ancestor, wherever we came from, was able to break off and, thrive. But, yeah, I mean, I never thought about, really understood where we got our intelligence from.
Right. Well, it's fun. It's hard to understand where something comes from nothing. That's a weird thing where we just picked it up where nobody else has, nothing else has. But there has to be a reason for it. And I think that the reason is there's something special about the way our brains work, in that nothing could ever really truly exist without us knowing about it first. It's a strange thing, but it can't be proven to exist until we observe it. You know what I'm saying? Someone, not,
I don't think we have to see it or hear it.
Well, not necessarily see it. That's not what I mean when I say observe.
Okay.
Scientific observe, like be able to.
Yeah.
Until we can show actual proof of something, that thing doesn't really exist, because it's not, like, you have to be able to conceptualize it first in your mind to make it a reality in the real world.
Yeah, like color or
exactly
music.
Exactly. You can't explain color to a blind person. It's impossible because it doesn't exist for them.
Yeah.
So nothing else has that. You know what I'm saying? No other animal has the ability to conceptualize, to perceive things in their own mind and then make them a reality in the actual world.
All right. All right. Well, I think we can both agree on, even if we don't know exactly what the answer is, it's foolish to turn to, God did it.
Oh yeah, no. I think that's why I like to say that's us, because we did it. You and I every day. When you look around and you see things, that you're doing it right now. You're creating your reality just through perception. Because without you being there to create that reality, is it really there? No one knows. There's no way to know. You can't know.
Mm-hmm.
I heard there's an astrophysicist who's into a lot of this stuff. He made a pretty wild statement, but it makes a lot of sense. He said, just imagine a city, any city, whatever one you want, and imagine all at once everybody falls asleep. Now, obviously, this is ridiculous, but we'll just go with it. If everybody's asleep at the same time, is that city still there, with no one to observe it, with no one to acknowledge what's happening, with no eyes on it? Now we're talking with no cameras on it, obviously. Nothing to observe it in any way. There's no way to prove it's still there.
Yeah, I think it's still there.
Well, me too. I think it's still there too. But it's been proven that things are constantly, everything, inanimate objects, no matter what it is, it's constantly moving.
Correct.
The slightest, tiniest little bit, but it is moving. Therefore, you don't know for sure. You can say that, yes, I think it's still there, and I do too, but you can't prove it unless it's being observed. So until it's observed, we don't know.
Okay.
It's just like quantum physics. So in that way, you and I and everybody else who can observe things and realize things are the ones that create everything.
Yeah. I would think, maybe extraterrestrials would understand quantum physics, string theory intuitively that are better than us.
That's possible, but we don't, we don't know about them yet. We're not sure. I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but how far away are they? Do they know of us? We don't know any of these things. I mean, it's always fun to talk about. I bet you they do. I bet you they know about us, and that's another crazy theory people have on how we started to grow our brains, that they somehow influenced us a long time ago. But, who knows? That's all just wild theories. But
well, then that goes into not understanding. To not understand something,
right.
people tend to, even if they're not religious, oh, well, it had to have been aliens, or it had to have been.
Fill in the gaps on something they can't.
Like,
really
why don't,
understand.
I don't have to know the answer, but let's just keep asking the question.
Right. No, you're right. I just, as this only stands as a statement as of now, as of what we know now, that more or less, without a human mind, without our consciousness that we possess, and nothing else that we know of possesses, nothing really exists.
Yeah, so we have a comment here from this guy, Observer Created Reality.
Yes. Yeah. I've spoken to him many times, and he more or less agrees that it's kind of like phenomenalism. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So it's a philosophy that, like what I was saying, nothing exists until you know of it existing. Now it's a wild thought and it's kind of scary.
I mean, it's a little deep. It's just a little belaboring the subject that, I mean, we need to see something for it to be real to us.
Right. But the whole thing of it is, you can't. It's just you can't prove it until that point. So it's hard to go with. I know it's an out there type of thing, but until something can be proven, I like to stick on that side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you seem to see what I'm saying. You're not disagreeing with me.
No, I mean, we're not really necessarily arguing here. I just the comment, "We as humans are God," just kind of pulled me in. So.
Well, yeah, I think you were thinking I was going to be some religious guy, and I'm totally not.
No, I saw when I first downloaded this app, I saw your thing on abortion with some crazy kid, like some. It was like he was like an Asian kid.
Oh yeah. Josh.
That was funny. That was I got a kick out of that. That was hilarious.
That the way people think, man. Isn't that scary to you? Like, what does it matter?
It's funny because every time you call someone out, they tend to say, "No, you're twisting my words around."
No, I'm not. I'm
saying, no, I'm not twisting your words around.
I just repeat exactly what they say word for word, and then I interject logic, and then they break down. They can't handle it. But yeah, I know.
That was funny.
But it's a good app. It's fun. You'll run into some people on here. It'll be great for you, especially.
Well, you're my first contact, actually. First one ever.
Yeah. All right. Well, stick to it, man. You'll find some crazy people who you could really disagree with. That's for sure.
All right. I hope so. I'll be talking to you, okay?
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Later.